In the beginning was the Word. The Word was with God, and the Word was God. They say that in the beginning, in the midst of all the darkness, there was no shape or form. The greatest of these examples that we could use to depict and personify said void, the best of our abilities, is water. We have come together in the journey to realize that this was a maturity of consciousness that brought forth creation. And in that maturity of consciousness, the idea, the light bulb, was literally, let there be light, and there was light. Separation of the water by way of land was then called, and we call that earth. And because we share all of the elements within said earth, we can call ourselves the personification and representation of earth. Greetings and welcome to another step in the journey. This is the build. Today we will continue the previous conversation that we had last week regarding water. Looking forward to this one. But before we dig in and dive deep, I will bring in the brother Eli as he will bring in his words and announcements.
Greetings. Peace to everyone. Love and light and respect to all souls. Blessings. The words we are expressing freely are not meant to offend anyone. Our words are not meant to be in any competition with anyone else's wisdom. Your wisdom and understanding is yours alone. We are choosing to remain consecrated while being in the furnace of affliction, the burning bush. Conquering ignorance is essential. Nobody is born wise. A person has to make serious efforts to develop the qualities needed to be able to speak and achieve mayat without falling into the twin traps of vanity and greed. Every day, the ears or the living have to be made to listen to words of wisdom. Egyptian sage portrays himself a vigilant heart, a plain tongue, capable of satisfying God, because his or her entire existence rests on knowledge and not on belief. In a depth of calm and of silence, he distanced himself from the rash, the gossip, and the envious, and accomplishing what is right. And in the ancient Kemetic book of Two Ways, it says that the causes of wrongdoing are ignorance and immaturity. Blessings, brother.
Blessings. So, let us continue this deep dive into the properties, the meanings, the definitions, and might even be the deity that is water. I will start from an entry that was granted to me earlier on this week by a viewer. Her name was Natanya Yisrael, and she sent me a video that is seemingly going viral on social media. It is on TikTok, and the name of the video is What If Water is God? The name of the creator of this video is at Fatal Pros LLC. And his theory seems on the surface intriguing and sound, for it compares all things in regards to life, the continuance of, and lack thereof, to water intake. I encourage you deeply to find the video into your timed schedule of your day to watch. It is only but a minute long. For copyright reasons, I am not allowed to stream the video on this platform. However, I will paraphrase with many bullet points that I found very interesting. The idea of even our beginning ritual starting with the void that is water. And if the ultimate supreme creator cannot be created and the void was already here, then that must mean there's a connection somewhere to that. As human beings, our existence of our physical bodies can last for weeks and even months without food. However, at optimum health, can only last 7 to 10 days without water. This has been proven on many scientific experiments on cadavers who were dehydrated for long periods of time. Also, in regards to the Bible, he states that all of the miracles that were brought forth unto our consciousness involved water in some way, walking on water, turning water into wine, and even the sight being given back to a blind man by spitting upon his hands and placing his hands in the dirt and telling him to go and wash in the water. Fasting, on a physiological perspective, resets the body in totality, depending upon how long you can hold on to the discipline of taking in only water. The debate as to how much water needs to be absorbed throughout the day is still a very hot topic in science. However, I did find an article from neurogrow.com, which features doctors that speak about different means of nutrition. The name of the article is Hydration is Key, Water Your Brain. I will read excerpts of this article. According to the Journal of the American College of Nutrition, even just 2% dehydration takes a toll on our brain function. Here are a few symptoms you may experience when you are not as hydrated as you should be: memory loss, poor focus and attention, slow processing of information, irritability, and headaches. Dr. Caroline Edmonds and her team performed a study testing the effects of dehydration on brain performance and mood. They found that those who drank water more performing cognitive tests had 14% increased reaction time compared to those who did not drink water. In addition to their decreased cognitive performance, those who were dehydrated reported being more confused and tense than those who drank it. So, how much water should we be drinking a day to make sure your brain can function well? New research from the Institute of Medicine, however, suggests that the average woman should be drinking about 74 ounces or about 9 cups per day, and the average man should be drinking about 101 ounces or about 13 cups per day. This proved to be quite interesting to me because of the fact that women retain more water in their bodies because they bring life into the world. When life is brought into the world, it is done so in liquidity. We are excellent swimmers. We find the egg. We have the complete ability of swimming until we are brought forth into this consciousness and slowly forget how to swim. However, if you have witnessed a water birth of any kind, the child, as it is being brought out of the womb, will begin to swim. Very, very interesting that we unlearn certain essentialities for life, including, but not limited to, how we relate to water. One of my own said experiments involved a woman who is experiencing congenital heart failure, has had emphysema and COPD for literally half of her life, from age 28 to now 56. And within one single week since the conversation that we have had here, the only thing that I had advised her to do, though I am not a physician, is to drink more water, to not change anything in her diet, to not change anything in her medications. And it has resulted with some phenomenal results. Within 72 hours, this woman who spent 5 years without having more than 3 hours of sleep per 24-hour increment was able to have 5.5 hours sleep. It is the deepest sleep she has ever had. She even made it a point to wear what is called a Fitbit on her wrist to show how many hours she was actually in rapid eye movement or REM sleep. The total was 47 minutes. Total 47 minutes versus a person. Comparison to a person who only had 3 hours of sleep at best per night. The average human being, according to census, sleeps between 5 to 6 hours per night, despite the fact that we have been told our entire lives that we must spend 8 hours in bed, encouraging that we shall go to sleep early as the sun sets. Should we end the participation of any imbibery in the ingestion of any food or any chemical, and should go and retire to our beds to reset ourselves? These are all scientific and theoretical, but not rhetorical, for these are all have been shown and proven to be true, at least in some accounts. These are my findings, and these findings I encourage deeply to be built upon, as the bricks have been built on the foundation of this sacred space here and now. This is a call to action for all people, for all beings who are in attendance audibly and consciously, whichever day or hour this may be, to dig and deep dive into this information, apply it to your physical days and to those that you love, and watch for yourself what those results will render. It is quite exciting. It is exciting not just because it works, it is exciting because of how quickly it works. In the experiment, the woman who has experienced half of her life in inadequacy of rest within 1 week was able to see that there's a restorative function still existent within her physical frame, which means water can also be grace and forgiveness. These are more than just hyperbole. This is something that if we were given the time, Eli and myself would spend the entirety of the remainder of all of our conversation speaking on only this subject. However, because we of the burning bush must do our own work, you also must do yours. I am elated to have these findings that are concrete, that are self evident, and that is truth and facts. Blessings.
That was amazing, brother. So we're going to add something else to the great, amazing conversation. Now, I remember saying something about after what we have discovered last week. How is it possible that people could be in their right minds? So let's do a little digging, and let's see, how can an adult be in their right mind? So if a tire doesn't have air in it, it is not performing properly. Think about that. So let's see if we are in our right minds. This is from WebMD. Your skull is filled with a fluid that surrounds your brain's folds and lobes. It's called cerebrospinal fluid, and it cushions your brain from injury and has nutrients and proteins that help keep it healthy and working. Cerebral spinal fluid also allows the relativity heavy brain to float within the skull. Now remember, it provides nutrients, protein that help keeps it healthy and working. Now, this is from brainica.com. CSF, cerebral spinal fluid, is slightly alkaline and is about 99% water. It says there are about 100 to 150 milliliters of CSF in normal adults in the human body. The human brain is 80% of water. So, my last part is the cerebral spinal fluid. Okay, this is from cancer.gov. Also called CSF, cerebral spinal fluid, is made by tissue that lines the ventricles, hollow spaces in the brain. It flows in and around the brain and spinal cord to help cushion from injury and provide nutrients. Cerebral spinal fluid performs vital functions, including support, shock absorber, homeostasis, nutrition, and immune functions. So, if CSF helps with support, shock absorber, homeostasis, nutrients, and the immune function. Also, it cleanses the I would say the bad things inside the cerebral cortex, the brain. It helps get the bad stuff out. So if 80% of your brain total of your cranial area is full of water, 99 to 100% of the CSF is water. And we don't drink no water at all. We drink beer, alcohol, Kool-Aid, and juices. Even if you use a juicer, that still is not water. So you guys can answer the question yourself. How can you be in your right mind if you're not completely hydrated, according to how things function? Now, I have not even went to the other organs in the body. Let's use this basic experiences that we all may have had. Most people that I know when I was growing up who consumed a lot of water had beautiful skin. The skin, as they say, is the largest organ. Now we already know that multiple layers of your body, including your lungs, are made up of water. When we are born, we are floating in liquid, some form of water. So, people, if we want to be honest, we are not trying to judge your behavior. My premise is this: we all may have accidents. Most of us do not know the future. But I'm going to say this: please, when your rewards come, if you do the things like don't drink, smoke, and all those type of things. Alcohol, take alcohol. When your body responds to your own willingness, please don't be so loud. Now, we do have accidents here or there. So if you've been smoking for 20 plus years and it says, well, you got skin cancer, don't be so loud on talking about, can you help me? Enjoy your reward. So that is my only premise, because some of us love humanity so much that we cannot rest unless we are solving someone's problem. But in the beginning, God said it was the word. So if you refuse to accept the word of wisdom, please, just for a short moment, enjoy your rewards and then allow us to recover and then come and help you out, because we love you guys so much. Look at all the hours and the minutes that we use to drink sodas, the Kool-Aids. I mean, we fight so hard to drink these things. Some of us will have an attitude if we don't have these things. So remember, beloved brothers and sisters, God loves us so much. And what Brother Mike have shown us through his own demonstration is that it is never too late. He told us that the woman that he helped, she was in her 50s. Another example we can use that is not too late if you are willing to give God or life a chance. The oldest bodybuilder in the world, I think she started lifting weights at 56, more or less. So we have evidence because life or God, has allowed us to create cameras so we can record and take pictures of these things, which I'm very grateful for God or life to supply these things. So that's my little spiel, if you will, on the aspect of the importance of consuming healthy water. Also, I'm going to add this. You might be drinking water, but the molecules of water are too big for the ports that it's supposed to attach itself to. So, I will give you an example. I don't have a pen. So, if you have a port that's like this, and the water molecule is like this because it's connected to other molecules that does not belong on it, then it cannot go inside to be absorbed to replenish the body. So when, again, like God prefer, and what we see on the earth is the distilled water. It's only H2O, so it's only three molecules that can fit inside the space and then be absorbed. So learn what water you're drinking, because some water molecules are too big and you will not be able to absorb it. And that's why sometimes you can drink a lot of water and you can hear it in your stomach moving around. However, you do not feel hydrated. So God is perfect and we are made perfectly. Just remember that. Everything is precise. And Brother Michael can even share what can happen to your thyroid glands if your alignment is just slightly off to show improve the magnificence and the excellence of existence itself. Blessings.
So grateful for this interaction. Before I even get to that, I am so excited about bringing this type of positive energy, call to action energy, kinetic energy here. I cannot stop smiling. I apologize. Brother Eli, you were speaking about ports. My gosh. So those ports are in different levels in our bodies, in different systems. For our blood is our veins. But even more intricately, from a chiropractic perspective, our joints, our vertebrae, our vertebral column is protecting something in that building. Our bones are protecting our nervous system. Our central nervous system is a series of ports. It is nothing more than a series of wires, circuitries that are jumbled together, and they are so incredibly fragile that it called forth for calcium and potassium to form a shield around it. That is our spine. Now, the spine has 24 parts in the vertebral column. There are 24 hours in a day. The sacral iliac crest, which looks like an elephant's head at the lowest part of our spine, which separates from the 24, which is the canal where we have life to be brought forth into the world, our sexual organs, there at that base. Interesting how sacral and sacred sound exactly the same. However, talking about water, we are thermal electromagnetic beings. We deal with heat and cold. We deal in positive and negative charges. Question is, and this is non-rhetorical, what is our greatest conductor of electricity in our existence? Of course, it is water. What happens to an electric car, or any car for that matter, when we put sugar in the tank? That is what we are doing when we drink in those sodas. Even worse than sugar, it is salt. Sodium, if it is taken in one element at a time, sodium will kill you, chlorine will kill you, but something magical happens when they are placed together and form salt. Stay with me on this. Bleach is caustic soda. How is bleach made? It is electrocuted water and salt. Now, if we are thermal electromagnetic beings and we have electric currents that run up and down our spine at 200 to 400 miles per hour, depending upon our athletic ability, that current that constantly is running across salt is creating a bleaching of our internal organs. Bleach cannot be ingested, correct? But what if we are forming it inside of our own bodies by not understanding the fact that we are electric? Creation does not happen just on the outside of it. It happens also on the inside. And those who are well versed in this knowledge understand that it works from the inside out. That said, what you might be thinking is not high in chemicals, has no preservatives. There are still chemical reactions that happen within our body once it is ingested with all of the other elements. We must be very, very careful. It says, it is written that we perish for lack of knowledge. However, I am one to test the theory that knowledge is power, because knowledge is just something that you have written or have read, have known based upon the regurgitation of said work. It is the wisdom in the experience, in the trial and error, in the test, in the scientific build of said knowledge that is power. Knowledge is energy. It is potential energy. It is up to us to be kinetic with that energy to call forth the manifestation of us being more healthy as human beings, more deeper endowed within our nature of this planet, and closer to the supreme than we could ever be without said knowledge and understanding. I remember a teacher that brought me out of a very dark place that says, if we are to speak in parables so that the world may understand deeper concepts, as all deity has poetically proven through all of our religious texts, then this is the way that you explain to your children what the Trinity is. It is water. The Father is an ice cube. The Son is the water in its liquid form. And the gas, the air, which has all three elements when it becomes clear smoke, the Spirit is the Holy Spirit. So if we bring that together and understand that that element, which we cannot live without, no matter what realm of understanding you have, whatever practice you have based upon faith, that if we look at that element as that sacred, we would take more care of it, no matter if we call ourselves a Christian, a Baptist, a Jewish, a Hasidic, a Muslim, that of Islam, or even an atheist, even a Luciferian, a Satanist, because they will all succumb to the same thing. If we are dehydrated, we will perish. The book of Ezekiel speaks about the bones and rocks that will rise forth and speak his name. What is the name? He says, I will have the rocks cry out. We spoke in our previous build that rocks can actually learn, that they can ascertain the knowledge to actually perform algebraic equations precisely. Why? Because there's still that element within it. When manna was created, it came out of the sky and rained down like what? Like water. When there was no water in the desert, there were rocks that were broken together and formed water from the rocks. It is everywhere. It is in us, it is around us, it is on us. We are breathing it right now. For we must also understand that that next breath is not promised, that our water will be polluted by many other means to try to enlarge its molecules within the chemical so that we cannot absorb it. And that even the hardest, toughest individual with blades of icicles for the world and you and people around you can indeed, with the right temperature and climate, melt. Hearts can be warmed, but be warned. We must be very, 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 very careful of how we tread this land and deplete that element. Now, going back, I'm sorry, I'm going in tangents because I'm so excited. I'm being cheered on to keep going. We're going to go to what we were talking about as far as chiropractic and the shifting of that spine. I'm going to show you with this. If we have kinks in a cord, where does the current go? It doesn't. It stops. Your kinks in the cord are a scientific word named subluxations, or a misalignment of our spine. Again, our spine is nothing more than a shield covering these ports, much like this spinal cord. It's called spinal cord for a reason. Much like this is protecting the electric current. Now, I have within my office an individual who has been typing on a computer or typewriter for half of her life. Now, this is much older. She is 74 years old. For 30 plus years, she has been a secretary. She has been a paralegal. And the entirety of that time, she is typing like this. She walked into our office 3 months ago, not being able to look us in the eye because her neck seemed attached to her chest. How much of a kink is that cord? This is called a forward translation of the cervical spine and thoracolumbar collapse. That current, 400 miles an hour, mind you, constantly being stopped there, disconnected and reconnected there. It ends function of that part of the body almost in totality. If you are to have your neck translated forward even 1 centimeter, it alters the organs surrounding that part of the vertebral column. If I am to shift just like this for any amount of time, it alters our heartbeat. And if our muscles allow ourselves to be continued in that formation, it slowly alters our respiratory function and can even cause a stroke. If we have misalignments within our thoracic spine, which causes our shoulders to shift forward, it locks up our rib cage so it cannot expand our lungs to breathe. If our lumbar spine is stretched out behind us, as we see those wonderfully, beautifully clad illusions that take us away from the burning bush, my brother, that walk ever so eloquently with their hinds behind them, it causes what is called thoracolumbo collapse. And that destroys sexual function, can cause cancer to awaken within the cervix. If we are sitting in our lazy chairs, our lazy boys, our broy heels, and we are at a decline, it actually declines our health because it causes a subluxation that forces our intestinal tract to contract. We have seen in our office that we can prove in X-ray and scientific evidence that within months of changing a person's posture, they are no longer in any need to take any further medications for blood pressure, for diabetes, that is human or humalog, insulin of any kind, that are not in any need to have inhalers for the respiratory function, and are able to ingest food more completely, the nutrients that is needed, that does what? Guess what? What does those nutrients do? They go into the water, which goes through that current that goes up and down our spine at 400 miles an hour back to where? Where did Eli speak on this? The brain. Our posture can affect our brain. Our posture can affect our heart, can affect our lungs, can affect our pancreas, can affect our digestive system. How many people on not just this planet, but in your own households, in your own neighborhoods, suffer from heart attack, strokes, have diabetes, have blood pressure issues, have blood sugar issues, and all that they had to do was take away what was dehydrating them from themselves and put in more water. No matter how many different names we have for death, there's only two things that we perish from. Listen very closely. We die from two things. We die from our heart stopping, and we die from dehydration. Those are the only two things that we die from. That is the reason why we have DNRs present, because it will force our heart to continue beating even when we do not want it to. As long as that machine can keep running, you could live forever as a vegetable. That is a fact. And all that is an electrical current pushing the water that you have left in your body. When we perish, what is the last thing that we do when we perish? We take what is called the death breath. It rattles at the very bottom of the aspiration. It is depleting us of all of our air. We also defecate, which depletes us of all of our nutrients. And then when rigor mortis sets in, we start to dehydrate, which takes away from our organs and then our skin, leaving the bone. That are the only two things. Now, that said, is water the fountain of youth? You better believe it is. Is water the key of life? Is it really the way, the truth, and the life? You better believe it is. But I dare you to do more than just believe. I want you to try. I want you to try your absolute best to prove it wrong. Because that is why we are here, for evidence. I have said so much.
Being led by the Spirit is 100% okay. Because again, this classroom is not meant for everyone. It's meant for those who truly want to exhibit the best things in life. Blessings. Also, I wanted to mention there are other aspects to our existence. One thing that I have come to truly know is that having a purpose to live for. Because when you do not truly have a purpose to live for, that is a death blow to the soul. So within the body, there is an essence that is more deeper inside of you. And losing the will to live because there is no purpose that you truly want to explore, That's a real mean level of existence, which will deplete all of the things that we spoke about. The loss of the conscious will to explore this amazing life. Now I'm going to do a little reading because it's a little getting to our time, which we're so grateful. The purpose of humans is to maintain Mayat on earth. Mayat is doing that which is accordance with maintaining the harmonious balance in nature. That is, take care of the earth and all things thereon. Mayat is doing that which promotes health, growth, and development in all people and all of nature. To do Mayat is to treat the whole earth as a sacred place. It benefits us to take care of the earth because it is the source of sustenance for earthly beings. To do Mayat is to work to bring about a harmony in everything that is in your environment. To do Mayat is caring about all living things. To do Mayat means to exist in harmony with nature, to work to produce a healthy, natural environment. To do Mayat is to do that which is right and just and good. To do Mayat is to share and give to others. To speak Mayat is to speak openly, truthfully. Everything we do and say matters. Everything we do or say either helps or hurts something or someone. To do Mayat is to have compassion towards others and towards nature. To do Mayat is to do and say what is right in respect to that which promotes harmony and balance. This implies to what you do in your family, in your community, in your nation, and in the world. To do Mayat is to strive to achieve good character in oneself and to be a model for others. To do Mayat is to do good and always strive to bring good to the world. To do Mayat is to work to make life better for others, and by doing so, you make life better for yourself. To do Mayat is to correct imbalance and fight against isef, the Kemetic word for wrongdoing. Having said that, brothers and sisters of light and life and of blessing, we are honored with your time and we are grateful for your time and your ears. And we hope and pray while we pray for you that you will pray for us in love and protection and balance and good living. We love you all, and we hope and pray that the words that we share do not offend you by no means, because we know that we can offend someone knowingly and unknowingly. So we love you guys and continue to pray for us in our protection, in our life, in the world, that life will refine and change. Thank you.
This sacred space has been brought forth for the sole purpose of this positive energy to be manifest. And it was in so doing of our highest intention to maintain a sense of reality in the sacredness. However, I must bring forth the attention of the excitement that has come to fruition today. Dare I say it, it is a level of maturity that is definitely different from what is usually brought forth in the sacred space. I ask for the forgiveness of anyone that has felt offended by my energy, my maturity level, due to my excitement. For I have come to an understanding that nothing of this earth is personal. But I have got to admit, my will to keep composure today, with how excited I was to share this with you, my will has been weak. And if this be a weakness that I am guilty of, I will take that to the flames. For part of that hope is that spark of joy in learning of the world around you. I pray and hope, with all three elements being that spirit, that mystery, that ghost of holiness, that there's something in your existence that brings forth that almost childlike joy to you. We must bring to a close what we have opened here. On next week, we will speak about some of those other elements that are representative of our life. Starting next week, we will speak about air. But until then, let us bring ourselves back into understanding that our discipline is of this flame. For the candle cannot complain against the darkness
Yes.
and the harshness.
Yes.
It instead emits itself and admits to itself that it is everything that it needed.
That is needed.
It is the light,
The light.
and we
We are.
that light. We will not blow away this candle into the distance, for we realize that we are this light. So instead, we will take it in as the blessing that is, that casts out all darkness. We take it in. And we show and prove, without a shadow of doubt, that we are not harmed. Positive energy always creates elevation, peace, and many abundant blessings be unto you. Until we meet again. Blessings.